our guest today has had probably the sexiest cake on Coronation Street. From the words of the Corrie art director, I love that. I love her ethos. And the fact that she has been sticking up for all cake makers following an article stating that the average price of a wedding cake is £350, which we all know it isn't, but we'll be talking about that later. So, hello to Kate from the Cake Business Club and Little Button Bakery. Hello.
Hi, Sammy and Bronya. Thanks for having me on.
You're very
You're very
welcome.
welcome.
So to start, can you tell us how you got into the business of cake making and a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. So this is now, I'm in my 11th year of running my cake business, Little Button Bakery. I didn't start out like making cakes from the off. I started off at university doing art, and then I decided that wasn't for me and I did a business studies degree. After that, I dabbled a bit in business. Then I decided I wanted to be a teacher. So I became a primary school teacher for 8 years. It seems a lot of
Wow.
cake makers start off as primary teachers. And then when I had my little boy, I just thought I can't go back to teaching. It's just too much work. Like it's too much to juggle the family and the working as a teacher. And I'd always enjoyed baking, and I've always been very creative and very crafty. I was always making things out of like Fimo and stuff when I was younger, which is not dissimilar to cakes, making out of icing. And when I was on maternity leave, there was like a night class at my local college doing cake decorating. So I thought I'll go and do that because get out of the house, meet some people, a bit of fun. And then I bought like a voucher on Groupon one day for a cupcake making class. I did that. And then I did another little cupcake making class. I thought, I actually quite like this. And then a friend of mine asked me to make a christening cake for their baby's christening. So I made that. It was my first like tiered cake. And then someone at the christening asked me to make a wedding cake. And that's kind of just how it happened. And then
Wow.
it's just gone on from that really. It was very part-time in the beginning because I was doing it around my son. And then when he was just like 2.5, I had my daughter. So it's sort of built up, and I only went full time at it when they were both at school. I think that's probably the path that many cake designers have
Yeah.
taken. Starting off maybe as a hobby, then deciding they wanted to do it as a business and doing it around a family, because it's great, isn't it? It can be flexible to fit in with
Yeah.
you and your kids, and working from home. I don't work from home
Mm.
anymore, but I did in the beginning, and it's so flexible in that respect. And then yeah, I moved into my cake studio here in 2020. I got the keys in the February of 2020, had it all kitted
Mm.
out as a cake studio. It didn't have anything, didn't have water or anything.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
Made my first wedding cake in here in the March, and then it was ready to go, and Boris called lockdown on the Friday night,
Yes.
and the wedding was on the
Oh,
Saturday.
Oh
So the first
no.
first cake never that I made in my studio didn't ever get to the wedding, which was pretty sad. But
oh,
yeah, and then it's been a bit of a roller coaster ever since since the COVID times, as we all know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, what a nightmare. So you
Yeah.
kind of had it all set up, you were all ready to go, and then
yeah,
you just
it was
kind of
literally.
sat in there on your
I knew
own.
it might not get there because obviously there'd been talk all week about
Yeah.
will lockdown happen, will it not happen? But it was just so sad. It was so close to the wedding. It was like six
Yeah.
o'clock on the Friday, and obviously the wedding was
Oh,
the next day.
yeah.
Everything was ready: flowers, catering, cake.
Did they
They
get
did actually.
married though?
They did, but only just in December, just gone. So
My
they
word.
Really?
waited. They kept putting it back because obviously there was still uncertainty. But they are
Yeah.
now married, yes,
Oh,
and
that's
had the cake, but they didn't have the same cake as they had the first time round. They went for something more. They had a big dessert table,
right. Did they
which
keep the
was
first cake, or did you eat it?
well. What happened, I took some of it to them,
Right.
and then obviously they didn't really need a whole cake, so they had I made favors as well. They got all the favors. They had a tier of the
Wow.
cake, and then I took some to a local nursing home. Some went to my children's school for the children who were in school,
Yeah.
and then who weren't being home educated, and then some went to a hospital. So it got
Wow.
kind of divided up into. It didn't go to
As long
waste
as it did,
anyway.
yeah. As long as
Yeah.
it didn't get wasted and it went to a good cause. Oh, heartbreak. At least they're married. Everything ends with a good
Yeah,
story, good ending.
all happened in the end, and it was all happy ending.
Right, so we've asked you here today, mainly as your capacity as the founder of the Cake Business Club. So if you could tell us a little bit about that, what it is, who is it for, who is it aimed at, who do you help?
Yeah, so the Cake Business Club is a fairly new venture. It started in October last year. It's a membership, a monthly membership for cake makers, for all cake makers. And the kind of USP of it is that it is purely about the business side of running a cake
Hmm.
business. There's no cake decorating tutorials. I don't have like how much is this cake kind of questions going
Yeah,
on and things like that. It's very much about how to run a business and how to run it better and how to make more money, because I think
yeah,
ultimately that's what a lot of cake makers do struggle with.
Mm.
I started the idea for it came about 18 months ago. And I'm in a lot of groups, cake making groups, as we all are. You know, we see things and you see what questions are coming up all the time and what
yeah,
pain points people have got and the things that people seem to need help with and lacking in confidence. And I've always been pretty savvy in the business sense. I've got a business studies degree. I've worked in business myself before as a teacher, and then obviously cake making. I've run my own cake business now for nearly 11 years, and that's had great success. You know, I started out in my kitchen, and then I've now got my own studio. I've won loads of awards. I'm a judge for the Wedding Industry Awards now. I won UK Cake Business of the Year at the one and only Cake Professionals Awards in 2020. And I just felt like I had such a lot to give. And often many cake makers were coming to me asking me business kind of related questions,
yeah,
on Instagram and things like, oh, what would you do in this
yeah,
situation? And what about this? And I just thought, right, maybe this is something I need to explore. So I set up like a free Facebook group, which is a bigger slice, the Cake Collective, which I know you guys are in,
yeah.
as a sort of community aimed around
Mm.
the business of running a cake business. And that's gone from strength to strength. It's now nearly 1,000 members.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been really, really great. I'll be excited when it hits the 1,000. But it's a really active group, really engaged. I run it completely on my own. I'm very hands on in there. Like, I
And that's
approve
hard
every
work as
post.
well. Facebook
It is
groups are
hard
hard
work. I
work.
think people don't realize how much work it is.
Yeah,
And obviously, I try and answer every single question, which is a lot. But I feel like people are there because they want to ask me stuff,
yeah,
and I am very like I'm in there a lot. I usually go live once a week as much as I can and sort of give advice around a particular topic. But there's only so much you can help people for free.
yeah,
It's I'm always sort of banging the drum of charge your worth, charge enough, make sure you
Yeah.
are charging what you should be charging for what you're doing. And, you know, it kind of came to a point where I was like, I just can't carry on giving all of this for free. And actually,
yeah,
there's a lot more I can help people with if they pay me, if I
yeah.
run it more as a business rather than just doing it as a sort of sideline. So that's where the Cake Business Club came about. It's a monthly membership, as I said, for cake makers. Currently got just over 60 members in there, which I
Wow.
think from only starting it in October, I'm
Yeah,
That's
pretty
brilliant.
pleased
yeah.
with how it's
Because
Mm.
grown
you
so far.
filled up pretty quick, didn't you? Because you put sort of like a limited number on
Yeah,
the
the
first intake,
first
didn't you?
the first intake was 50. That was my limit, and I did
Yeah,
like a big challenge launch. I did a 5-day challenge, and I thought I'm going to have to like hustle to get people in because I
yeah.
don't know how they'll feel about it. And I sold all 50 places in less than 12 hours. So
Nuts.
that was pretty
Amazing.
impressive
That
while I was
I
sounds
still
remember
on there.
watching it. I
fantastic.
remember watching it. You go, no, I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm finished. I'm full up.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I can put my feet up now. But it kind of just showed me the need for what I was offering was there. Um,
Yeah.
and the level of support I can give. So it's all very much around running a business and the things we should be doing that many of us don't do, like
Yeah.
keeping you accountable for them and actually making you do the work. So a lot of the
Mm.
sessions I have in the club, there's generally 4 to 5 sessions a month and they're about an hour long. I try and do one a week.
Right.
Sometimes it has to be 2 if it's like 5 in a month. But we like do the work. So we do like
Yeah.
strategy and goal setting where we work through it together, and people go away from the session knowing what they're working towards in the next like quarter or next year. We do a monthly social media planning session because that's kind of one of my strengths, social media.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, your
basically,
social media is pretty cool.
yeah, I fallen off the wagon a little bit with it recently, to be honest, but it's just really hard. It feels like hard work at the moment to get the traction on there,
Right.
unless you're a bit controversial, like I am quite often. But yes, so we do social media planning, and it's an hour session. At the end of the session, people have a whole month's of ideas mapped out for them. And I basically do a lot of that legwork for them. I give them all the ideas. We talk about things we could post about. And like I give them a PDF and I give them a Trello board, whichever way they want to
Wow.
work it. So we do that. Then I've got like a Q&A session where people can literally come and ask me anything, and they can submit questions in advance, because it is actually international, the membership. I've got members in Australia,
Wow.
America, Netherlands. So yeah, it's sometimes there's different time zones. So obviously I have to make sure people can access it from wherever they are. So they ask me in advance. And also I've started doing a session where I review people's Instagram bios or a page of their website. So it's called a lightning round. It's like 10 minutes timed of feedback from me about how to improve your website or your
Wow.
Instagram bio. And
That is brilliant.
it's really helpful. And that in itself is probably worth the cost of the membership, like when it's your turn.
Yeah.
And also we have like a guest expert come in once a month, or sometimes I do the training if it's something I can feel like I've got the best knowledge on, I'll teach it, or otherwise I have a guest expert. So this week, actually yesterday, we had who did we have this week? It's gone out of my head, but last month we had an SEO expert, so she came and told us all about SEO, and that was brilliant. Actually this week it was someone telling us all about how to maximize profit in our business. So that was a really helpful session, and lots of food for thought. So I generally, I ask the members very regularly, what are you wanting? Is there anything specific you want training on? And I try to, build in to what they want rather than what I think they want, as much as I can. So I think, it's going really well, and the feedback I get from it is generally fantastic, and people are seeing higher order values coming in, they're seeing more inquiries, they're getting more hits to their website, they're getting better social media reach, they're feeling more confident, and like all of those things were my aim of the club, really, to get everybody to a stage where they're feeling more confident in business and that they can run their businesses better. So yeah.
What is the biggest thing you see people in the Cake Business Club asking for help with?
I think the thing that holds so many people back is pricing, confidence in pricing. Like it's a very difficult one, and there's so much contention around it because it's so hard to put a price on a handmade product. Like, and everybody takes different amounts of time to make things. People are at all different skill levels, so a lot of the pricing groups that I see on Facebook and things, people are asking, how much would you charge for this cake? And the people responding are at a completely different skill level to the person who's asking. So you wouldn't expect them to charge what like the highest skilled person was going to charge. I think it's a bit of a dangerous area, really. And I did write a blog post about it the other week, because I don't know how helpful it is to ask other people what you should charge for your work. You've kind of got to work that out yourself. Like what are your costs? What are your overheads? And I always try and get people to work backwards from the end point. So look at what do you actually want to earn in your business? Like, how much money do you want to bring in the year, and work backwards from that. So, okay, this is the turnover I want. How many orders do I want to make? How many weeks of the year do I want to work? And then I divide that out between all of the orders, and like set a minimum order price. So, okay, to get to the end point that I want, this is what I've got to charge. And I think that's where so many people go wrong, because they're charging hourly rates, and actually the hourly rate they're charging, they're probably working way more than what they're charging for, because things take longer. So it's just a flawed business model in my
also
view.
asking for other people's prices, it's not giving you the confidence to charge your price.
No.
When you know your pricing inside out, you're confident when you go back and go, no, that's the price. But if you're asking other people, well, what do you think? You're never going to be truly confident going back to your customer with that price, are you?
No, absolutely not. And I think it does come down to confidence in the end. You've got to be confident to say, my cake costs this price. that's the cost.
Yeah.
And like it or lump it. Like, don't say that obviously, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, you've got to put it out there with confidence. If you're going up to it, you know, back to a client and saying, oh, well, this cake's going to take me 15 hours to make and it's £30 in ingredients and everything's gone up recently, your client really doesn't give two
Yeah.
hoots about that information. They just want to know what the cake is going to cost them. So I always try and advise people to ask the budget first. What is it you want me to plan a cake towards? Are we talking £50? Are we talking £500? What do you want to spend? Because I can then plan a cake around that. There's no point in spending time. And I see it all the time on cake making groups. I've spent 4 hours back and forth with this customer
Yeah.
doing designs, and they've not a penny's changed hands.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? You're just wasting your time. You're wasting your money, and actually the customer's not booked you anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you didn't ask the most important question from the beginning. What do you want? What
Yeah.
is your budget? So I think getting people to understand that, and if you know, if you're in the Bigger Slice the Cake Collective, you'll hear me banging on about that constantly, like budget, minimum order value.
Yeah.
And actually I have changed the perspective and mindset of so many cake makers who've listened to me, and actually just taking that little leap of faith, if you like, in trying something different and maybe something that feels a little bit uncomfortable, but then it's worked, has given
Yeah.
people such a huge confidence boost. Like, some of the ladies in the group have been like booking cakes 3 times what they would have usually charged. They're like, I would have normally
Yeah.
charged this, but I said it was this, and they've agreed. Like, it's
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
just made £300 more than I was going to make.
Because
Yeah.
there's always
And
that time when you give a price over and someone goes, yes, please, thank you. And you kind of go, oh, damn, why didn't I just put more down?
Yeah.
And that's
exactly,
about
but
knowing your customer as well, though, isn't it? About knowing who
it
your ideal
is.
client is that you're talking to.
Absolutely. And I think if you ask from the off what the budget is, there's
Yeah.
none of this approaching things, you know, pussyfooting around and
Yeah.
trying to work yourself up to telling people what a cost is. If you know, and that's the way I work with my wedding clients. It's on the form, it's on my
Yeah.
contact form, on my email, the first contact, this is my minimum order charge, but most
Yeah.
people work like pay between X and Y. It's the first questions I talk to them on email, not in a that's like the first thing I say, obviously, but I'd
Yeah.
say all the niceties first. But I
Yeah.
do throw in there, what was your budget? Because
If you're not scared about talking about money from the off, then they're not going to be scared about hearing your price from the off.
exactly, I think
Yeah.
the more confident you can be talking about money, being upfront and honest about money and costs, the higher value orders you're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, your price has got to match your skill level, your experience, you know,
Yeah.
what you're actually offering. But, you know, I'm booking orders sort of 900 to £1,000 regularly. I don't make sugar flowers. I don't do ruffles. I'm not doing all the time consuming things that most cake makers do. But, but I'm very confident in my prices, and
Yeah.
my prices are higher than, you know, probably most of the people around me, but people come to me specifically for my cakes, so that you kind of, I think a lot of the time when people put low prices on work, you're actually probably frightening away your ideal client
Yeah.
by charging too little, because
Yeah.
some people actually want to spend a lot of money on
Yeah.
something, and when you tell them your price is like way lower than they were anticipating, they're going to think, well, that's going to be rubbish then. If that's all
Yeah.
they're charging for that,
There's that
it's not going to be
perception
very
already,
good.
isn't there? There's that, that perception there that expense equals value, and
Yeah,
people
exactly.
want to know that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
So
think
right. So so go on.
I was going to say, I think a lot of cake makers are actually their own worst enemy in terms of pricing, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are very guilty of pulling others down as well in the community.
Yes.
They're saying, well, why are they charging that price? Or
Yeah.
that's too expensive. And who are you to say what someone else should charge?
Yeah.
That's why I don't really agree with these cake pricing groups, because I shouldn't be telling you how much
Yeah.
you should charge for a cake. You have to get to that point yourself where you are happy, you're confident, and you know what you're saying is the right price for you. It's not the right price for Susan down the road, or, you know, Janet up the street. It's your price, not anyone else's price.
Yeah. I
So
remember years and years ago when Rosalind Miller had, I don't know whether she still is at Harrods, but Rosalind Miller used to have a concession at Harrods. And she had a unicorn cake, the unicorn cake craze.
yeah,
And she had a unicorn cake, and I think it was an 8-inch, and it was something like 150 quid. And I remember seeing posts on Facebook that were completely slating
Yeah,
how
I remember
dare
this.
she charge
Yeah,
150
yeah,
pound? It's just a
Yeah.
unicorn cake. And I think on a few of them I piped up and went, but if you charged 150 pound, then we could all charge 150 pound
Yeah,
for it. You know, if we
exactly.
all did it, rather than knocking them down, build everyone
Yeah,
up, and then we'd
build
all
everyone
be
up.
on that
Yeah,
level. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's a lot of the problem in the cake industry, that there are so many people who are not like charging properly, they're not working out the cost, and they're just simply plucking a figure from thin air,
yeah,
and then they make the general public feel like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the cost of a cake, and actually it really isn't, because they've not done their homework.
yeah.
They're not running proper businesses, they're not insured, they're not registered, and they're
I mean,
just
I
trying to
remember
make it.
Rosalind Miller was obviously paying Harrods a concession
Yeah,
fee as well. You know,
exactly. You probably got about a tenner off that unicorn cake.
if
Like,
that.
but why, in an industry that's predominantly female, why are we trying to
Yeah.
pull
Why
everyone
do we
down?
do it?
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what I'm trying to do in my
Yeah,
group. I'm trying to lift everyone up. I'm trying to be a voice for the
yeah,
industry. I'm trying to be the person who is the
yeah,
cheerleader of cake makers,
yeah.
and telling them just to charge their worth, to
yeah.
charge good value, and
You
to
need
try
some
and
cupcake pom poms.
I know. Yeah. Well, it's a long
Right. So,
journey,
I mean, this actually
educating.
ties in very nicely with why how we originally asked you to come on to the podcast today, because there was, as Sammy said in the intro, an article. I think it was on Hitched. I could be wrong. Anyway, there was an article that said that the average price of a wedding cake was £350, and you did a response to that, which you caused quite a stir about, if I remember. Um, and I know I've been going on about this for donkey's years, and it drives me nuts. And also this week, bearing in mind that we're recording this just at the end of April, this week a similar thing has gone down, and the average price has actually gone down from
Yeah,
350 to £304.
No.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I,
if
oh
anyone
my
doesn't know what we're
gosh.
talking about, would you like to explain what has happened?
yeah. So, so a stationery designer that I know sent me a screenshot of an article in Rock My Wedding. It was a blog that they'd published, which was sharing all the average costs of a wedding, basically. But these figures have come from one of these UK wedding reports, which are done by Hitched and Bridebook every year. And I can't await with bated breath for them to come out to know what stupid figure they've put on wedding cakes
And Bridebook's
every
been doing
year.
this for years. They've been doing it,
They
and
have,
I've bleated about it for years. But yes,
yeah. So I was like, this has got to stop. Like,
yeah,
what? Because it's so, you're just ill-informing couples about the cost of things for their wedding. Like, they're not real costs. I don't know
yeah,
what the figures are or where they've come from, but they are not true costs. Like, I don't know any cake makers who would make a wedding cake for £300. And like, I've asked in my group,
yeah.
no one makes them.
Not unless it's a single
So
tier, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, so it's just
But I mean,
a crazy figure.
it's actually a flawed statistic as well, isn't it? Because there is a
It
big
is.
chunk of that statistic is freebies, isn't it?
Well, interestingly, I've actually had a call with Bridebook this morning. I've been
Have
on a Zoom
you?
call. Yes, I've had
Have
a
you?
45-minute Zoom chat with the lady who's the head of data at Bridebook this
Right.
morning. So, yeah, the thing that I did, I responded to this Rock My Wedding post with a reel, and I called them out on it,
Mm,
and I tagged them in it, and I highlighted that also alongside the stupid figures they were quoting, they were showing cakes that were no way
yeah.
£350
Yeah, that
cake.
you did. There was a Lambeth cake there with all
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
which,
piping and
Beautiful.
everything.
Yeah.
they're saying £300 for a cake, and then showing a cake that's probably in excess of 750
Yeah.
next to it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just wrong on so many levels. So I called them out on it, and in my reel I said, like and share this post if you agree. And well, that's exactly what everybody did, and it just went absolutely crazy. Like, the amount, I was on my phone for 48 hours, like nonstop, responding to people, apart from when I was sleeping, like getting into conversations with people in my DMs, responding to people's comments. It was shared. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell you in reels how many times it's been shared, but I reckon it was way over 1,000 times it was shared. I
And
think
I think it's been
currently,
shared again this week.
yeah, it's gone off
Yeah.
again this week. So I think it's reached about 90,000 accounts currently. But for a reel that didn't even have any music, it was just me talking. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So that went off. So off the back of it, Rock My Wedding basically pooed the pants, for want of a better word, because loads of suppliers then started contacting Rock My Wedding to take their listings off their directory, because the Rock
Really?
My
Oh
Wedding were
my God.
basically throwing all suppliers under a bus with this
Yeah.
stupid blog post they put. They took it down pretty sharpish, and then contacted me to ask me to edit my reel and say that they were going to work to rectify the situation, basically. And to be fair, it sounds like they are putting steps in action to do that. So that's what happened with Rock My Wedding. Hitched, I had a conversation with a few weeks ago. I had a Zoom call with Hitched as well, and told them all about the figures that they're putting out there, and like how wrong they are, and how it's just misrepresenting the whole wedding industry, and basically making it very, very difficult for us to stand by what is a real price, because they're telling couples that the price is less than half what it actually
Yeah.
is. So when we're going at people with budget, saying, oh, it's going to be £750 for a cake, they're like, what? I
Yeah.
read on Bribebook it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
£300. You're ripping me off, which is totally not the case. I had an inquiry this morning for someone who wanted to spend I went back to them with my what's your budget? This is my minimum spend. He was like, oh, it's too much. I said, out of interest, what was your budget? And he said £200 to £300. I was like, this is crazy. I've never had such low budgets coming in as I have recently, and I'm very transparent with my pricing. So they're even bypassing the information that's right there in front of them and telling me figures that are half of what my minimum is. So and I think a lot, yes, there's the cost of living crisis going on, but I think a lot of it is to do with what people are reading online,
Yeah.
which is misinforming them. So yeah, but my wedding took the blog post down. I had a conversation with Hitched, and then this morning I've had a really lengthy conversation with Bridebook about this UK wedding report that they put out every year. And it's about 4,000 couples that respond to it. And she said they are all people who've been married in the last year. But they said that the people who say they've spent nothing on a cake are not included, like it just doesn't go into the figures. But people who have had a friend or family member, or they've bought a store-bought cake, like,
Right.
M&S aren't doing them anymore, but
Yeah.
that kind of thing, they are included in the average. So I really laid it out to her how this is just completely ridiculous. Like, who are they trying to help with this report? Because it's not helping couples, because it's not
No.
telling them how much it costs to employ a wedding professional for their wedding. It's not helping the wedding industry, because they're putting out completely ridiculous costs. And when we're then being ghosted, or just turned down flatly by people because they're saying we're too expensive, and actually we're just giving them the real cost. So the lady from Bribebook did listen. Like, I felt like it was a really productive conversation. She seemed to really take my points on board and understand why it was wrong. And
Right.
I saw that Bribebook did actually post an apology up on their stories yesterday, because they posted an infographic out yesterday,
Yeah.
or the day
I
before,
think it was
didn't they? 'Cause I
Monday.
know, Bronya,
Yeah.
you responded to it as well
Yeah.
on your stories. And the whole feed on that post was angry wedding
Yeah.
suppliers.
It really was.
So
And
they
it
took
wasn't
it
just
off.
cake makers. It
No,
was
it wasn't. It was
stationers. It was
everyone. Yeah,
photographers. It
and
was everyone.
photographers.
Yeah.
But they took it down and then posted it onto the stories instead. So I was like, what's the point of that? You've just put it from one place to another. But then they obviously thought better of that. And then they took it down, and they have actually posted an apology up on stories saying that they'll do better, basically, and that they're sorry. And the lady from Bridebooks told me they're going to do a supplier survey about the real costs of weddings, like what
That's
people
so
have
much
Oh
paid
my
them
God.
for weddings.
Yeah.
And, hopefully that will give a much clearer picture if people are honest. But I think a
Yeah.
lot of the problem as well, because I had a quick scan through the Bridebook directory. It's very out of date. There's loads of cake makers on there who are not even in business
Yeah.
anymore. So they obviously don't regularly check suppliers on there. So people are looking at things that are years out of date. But there's like a starting from price against everyone's listing. And some of the cake makers have put from £70, from £150. I reckon at least 75% of them were under £300. And it's like, well, you're not doing yourselves any favours here. I can only imagine they're thinking, well, I make celebration cakes for
Yeah.
£70 or £150.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're putting that figure down. But you know, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot there by saying your starting prices are from that if it's not true.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been pretty productive. I'm really glad I posted the reel because it had a massive snowball effect, and the fact I've basically had conversations with the three big players in the wedding industry now in
That's,
terms of,
yeah.
I've actually had face to face, apart from my wedding, I haven't spoken to them face to face. I've had chats with them in Instagram. But I've had a Zoom call with Hitched and a Zoom call with Bride Book. So we just have to hope that they do actually listen, because it's just misinforming couples when they're trying to
Yeah.
plan a wedding. I
Yeah.
did say it'd be better if they asked people what percentage of the budget they allocated
Yeah.
towards the different suppliers, because I think that would be better than just saying it's a figure. Like,
Yeah.
what percentage did you put to a cake or to flowers or to stationery? It might give a
Because I mean,
better.
for some people the cake's not important. For some people the DJ's not important. And I always say to
Yeah,
my couples, if you want a cake, have an amazing cake. If you're not bothered by a cake, spend that money on something else. Or, that's what I've said
yeah,
to, like, at wedding fairs, not actually to my couples because that would be really counterproductive. Anyway, but yeah, it's like people have different priorities at their weddings. And I've had some people come up and go, right, we haven't booked anything yet, but we know we want a massive cake because cake's really important. And
yeah,
for other people, it's like, well, no one eats it anyway. Should we bother
Mm.
getting it? But we really want a live band. So all couples are very different.
yeah,
And it is their priority that they're putting on it. But as a cake maker, you kind of you feel like you want to know that if someone wants a cake, it's because they do actually want it,
Mm.
and
yeah. It's unlikely someone's going to come to a bespoke cake designer if the cake's not important to them,
I mean,
really.
we have had where, when I used to have my shop, we used to have people coming and going, we're only having a cake because my mum's paying for it.
Yeah,
And it used to be
that's right.
really
Yeah.
disheartening.
I had a
It's like,
couple not long ago saying that exact thing. We don't like cake, so we're
and
not
that's
fussed.
really hard to deal with. But,
Yeah.
It
but
is, but
yeah,
in a way, you've got to stand firm on that and actually just say, well, I'm not the right person for you
yeah,
then.
yeah,
And I will say that to people. If I feel like they really don't care about cake and
yeah,
they're giving me bad vibes, or like some of the things they're saying are like pointing me towards the fact they don't really give a toss about the cake and
yeah,
don't care what it looks like. Well, I do. So
yeah,
maybe I'm not the right person for you then. If I care about what it looks, I don't want to just make a basic cake. I want to do something that's all singing, all dancing. So,
yeah,
you know, it's it's a tricky one really to manage, and I think a lot of cake makers do fall under the trap of saying yes to everything,
yeah,
particularly in the
Yeah.
beginning, and then you
Yeah.
end up basically being too busy doing things you don't really want to do, and then when things do come along that actually would really light your fire, you haven't got space to do them. So I
yeah,
think being
Mm.
brave and saying no to things is something that's
Mm.
quite important in the cake
yeah,
making world as well. Even though it is scary because obviously you're turning down money, and not everyone's in a position to do that. If you need the money, take the money, but just don't post it on your social media.
yeah,
Like, don't post anything you don't want to do again on out there into the public
yeah,
eye, because whatever people see is what they'll ask you for.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I had someone working for me last year, and she liked to put everything up of my stuff. Whereas now I'm looking back and I'm thinking, oh, I want to take that down now. I want to get rid of that because I
Yeah,
want to just target
yeah,
that specific
yeah.
brand sort
yeah.
of
I
thing.
mean, I
Just because
don't
you've
think
made
you
it, don't
necessarily.
need me to show it. Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah, you don't need to show it, but like, you don't necessarily need to worry about going back and taking off. You do on your website, but on like social
Yeah,
media, I wouldn't go back and take things off that were, you know, not to your taste, or from like years ago, because no one's going to scroll back that far. Like, they might do 2 scrolls and that's it.
yeah,
That's not
that's
that's
right.
not
yeah,
how Instagram works.
Yeah,
But website, definitely, you need to make sure that it's the showcase of what you actually want to do
that's
yeah,
and
right.
what you want people to book you for.
Mm.
yeah,
Um, so a website is definitely like super important to be up to
Mm.
date, on
Mm.
brand, fully
Um,
functional.
the cake industry, how do we as a cake industry overcome something as fundamental as the wedding industry implying how much we should be charging? Do you think that we should put stuff on our website? Um,
because
About
we're
pricing, you mean?
yeah. I mean,
mm,
we're as a cake industry, we're not particularly proactive here, are we? You know, we like you say, we don't help ourselves quite often,
No.
do we?
Some people don't. I wouldn't necessarily tar everyone with the same
No.
brush, but I think I'm all for being transparent about pricing. I think it puts me off if I'm looking for something, whatever that may be, and I go to someone's website to look for the thing I'm looking for, and there's absolutely no prices whatsoever. Like, I'm looking for somewhere to go for dinner on Friday with my husband, and someone suggested a restaurant. I went to their website, no pricing whatsoever. So I'm like, well, that's just going to be ridiculous cost. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to go there. But that might not actually be true. Like, well, I'm just
Yeah.
making that assumption because it's not there for me to see.
But
like,
you don't want to get into
I'm,
that situation where
no, it's
you're in a
awkward, isn't it?
situation that I can't
Yeah.
afford it. Yeah.
I think being transparent about your pricing, being open and honest about it, having it on your website. So I tell people what my minimum charge is. I tell them what the kind of average spend is. And then in my cake gallery on my website, if you hover over my cakes, it'll tell you roughly like the starting price of those cakes to give you an idea of like what it might cost you. And I think, it saves you so much time doing that in the majority, because people who aren't your client and who don't want to spend what you're saying your cakes cost are not going to contact you in the first place. So you're saving time by having to respond to people who are just not your customer. Because I think we waste a lot of time, many of us, back and forth emailing people
Yeah.
before we even had the conversation about cost. And when we do have that conversation 10 emails in, when we've already spent 2 hours on that client, they're completely on a different page to us. So
Yeah.
I think transparency and openness and honesty is key. And obviously I'm quite confident and like speaking out about in the wedding industry. Like, I've picked up a fuss about this £350 thing. I get that not everyone's going to do that because people are scared of backlash. They're scared of putting themselves out there and like speaking the truth. But it's a fine line, because sometimes it can go wrong depending what you say. You might end up with backlash off the back of it. But then the most recent things I've spoken out about, one was charging my worth and like why I charge what I charge, and the other was the pricing of wedding cakes. Both of those posts I've had have gone viral. So
Right.
it's like,
And so you're quite happy to put it all over your social medias as well.
yeah, I mean, I do put it on my little Button Bakery Instagram. I talk about it on there. It's where I've got the most following. I've got 12,500 followers on there. And actually, I reckon 60% of the people who follow me are other cake makers.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking to my tribe, if you like, who want to hear what I've got to say.
Yeah.
And from the posts that I have done, like, I've ended up with about 250 new cake makers follow me off the back of my £350 post and the back of my Charge Your Worth post. I've then directed them over to my free Facebook group. I've got them on my mailing list.
Yeah.
And now I can talk to them about the things I'm passionate about and like educate them. And obviously, ultimately, hope that they might come and join me in the Cake Business Club, because they'll see the value in what I'm offering them for free. The things I do for free, I do a lot. Like, I have a weekly email that goes out every week, which has got helpful things on. I find interesting links that I've found on the internet that week to the things that will help you in your business. I give you social media prompts. I usually tell
love
some
an
sort
email
of story
newsletter.
about something that's happened that week. Like, there's always something that happens. Like, and because I'm doing the same as everyone on my mailing list. I'm running a cake business.
Yeah.
It's relatable to you, and I am very honest, maybe too honest sometimes, but I'll share the highs and the lows. And I think that's important, because it's not always a bed of roses running your own business. It's a lonely business. We're on our own most of the time, unless we've got a member of staff. We're like, listening to the radio, talking to ourselves. And like, these little communities, like my Bigger Slice of the Cake collective community and my Cake Business Club community, it's a chance for people to come together with like-minded people and like talk in a safe space about things that are worrying them, or advice they might need, or because chances are somebody else will have had that exact same situation in their business, and they'll know how they got through it and how it was dealt with. I mean, I think I do keep a close eye on any discussions that are going on in my cake group, because I think there's sometimes a tendency with some cake makers to be a bit of a bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
why
human,
it
isn't
is.
it?
Yeah.
and people say things that they wouldn't say
Yeah.
to someone's face online,
Yeah.
and it's like a bit upsetting really when that happens. Thankfully, nothing like that's happened in the group, but I think we've all got to remember we all started in the same place. We all
Yeah.
started not knowing what we were doing. We never made a cake before. We'd never had an order before. And no matter where you are in your journey, you're not at the end of your journey. You're still
Yeah.
learning. There's always things to learn. I don't know everything. I know a lot, but there's lots I don't know. And I'm continually learning myself. And a lot of that, my learning, is so I can pass knowledge on to others and like educate and help other people, because I feel like the more I know, the more I can be a more grounded like coach,
Yeah.
if you like, for other cake makers.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people in the industry are frightened of sharing their knowledge. They're
Yeah.
frightened of telling someone how they did something or
Yeah.
why they got to that point, and they hide the information.
And
But
people they don't like to hide the mistakes. I mean, we're very open and honest
Yeah,
on
we
this
like to
podcast.
talk about all of
You
the
know,
mistakes I've made.
we've talked about our cakes that have fallen down and all the rest.
Yeah.
We're very, because like
yeah,
you say, it's like we're not all perfect, and it's
yeah,
nice to know that if you're in your kitchen making a cake, that actually someone else has had a 4-tier cake fall down and it's been a
Yeah.
nightmare and a
Yeah.
disaster, and
Or
we
yeah.
just
sometimes your cake bake, it comes out of the oven and it's failed.
yeah,
And
And
you
you
know,
it
forgot to put the
happens.
sugar in, and it's a giant scone. Like, I've had that before. I'm like, what happened? I've forgotten to put the sugar in this 12-inch cake.
yeah.
It's like
Or
a
you put the
giant
cake in the
scone.
oven and the eggs are still on the side. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah. It happens
it
to the
happens
best
to
of
all
us.
of us.
I think, when you're sharing it in like a closed community, you feel a bit more like it's a safe
Yeah.
space to do so. And I think it's nice
Yeah.
to have that, because there's so many cake makers in the world. Like, there's enough work for everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's different in their own way. No one is the same as you. Even if they want to be like you, they're not ever going to be
Yeah.
you, because you are you. Like, you're your USP. Like, there's loads of other people doing memberships and trying to coach other cake makers in their businesses. No one else is me. Like,
Yeah.
people either like you or they don't. And I think it's you often that sells your work to people.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people shy away from kind of showing themselves, particularly on social media, because they're frightened of it. They don't want people to see them and everything. However, that's probably the thing that's holding cake makers back the most, because people connect with other people.
Yeah.
If they see a real face behind the business, if they get to know a bit of your backstory, if they get to understand your journey and where you are now and what you like doing, and a bit about you, a bit about like your family and all the rest of it,
Mm.
it's this know, like, trust factor. They get to know
Yeah.
you, then they
Yeah.
like you, and when they trust you, that's when they'll buy from you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it can take weeks, it can take years, but particularly with wedding cake makers, it can be years, the
Yeah.
journey. People follow you when they first get engaged, and then they might book you for the wedding like 3 years later,
Yeah.
but they've
Yeah.
spent 3 years getting to know you.
Yeah.
So often, because I'm very visible on social media, not so much recently, but I have been very visible. Like, I often, when I meet like couples for consultations, they feel like they know me already because they
Yeah.
see me all the time, and like you feel like they've got that connection with you.
Yeah.
I think it's really important, something people shouldn't really hide behind. And I think you've just got to get over it. Like, you've just got to pull your big girl pants on,
Yeah.
just do it. Like, once you've
Yeah.
done it once, you don't have to do it again. And
Yeah.
that's the first time is done, and it's never going to be as scary
Yeah.
again after you've done it.
And it's also, it doesn't have to
But
be perfect, does it? It don't have to. It just
No.
has to be you.
no,
It don't have to be perfect.
yeah, just a picture of you. It doesn't have to be a video or anything. I mean, you can work up to videos, and you don't even have to go live. If you do a video, you can just record it and post it up
Yeah.
and make sure you're happy with it. But I think it's something that people need to get more used to, because I
Yeah.
bet it would really benefit their businesses by doing those things
I
and just
did
showing.
a course yesterday, and the woman running it was saying that she had done statistics on her postings with a stock photo from the internet and a posting with a photo of her, and the posting of her did something like 150% better than the photo with the stock
Yeah.
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah. I can
I
believe
think
that.
it's social media at the moment. You've got to make people stop in the tracks, really, because
Yeah.
it's very hard to get people to stop and actually engage with something, because they just scroll,
Mm.
mostly looking at videos of cats. and you've got to kind of
And
stand
dogs.
out in the sea of cats and dogs. Um, but you've got to have something that's eye catching, something that's, you know, going to make people want to read what they
Yeah.
see. So if it's a stock photo of a cup of coffee with a notebook, you know, scroll on by, it's boring. Like,
Yeah.
you've got to make it stand out. So the more you can put out amazing content, the better chance you've got of people engaging with you.
Yeah.
And like, I see a lot of cake makers like doing this like patterns on the grids, you know, where they
Yeah.
post a photo, then it's like a picture of their logo, photo, picture of the logo, photo, and it's just like, what are you doing? It's just
Yeah.
weird. Like,
Yeah.
it's not,
And who are you doing it
not,
for?
I'm sorry if you
Yeah,
do that.
I
I'm
love
sorry if
that.
um,
It's too neat and tidy for me.
but it doesn't have to be neat and tidy. Like, the gone
No.
of the days of pretty grids. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it
Yeah.
has to flow, and kind of it has to follow a kind of general aesthetic of things being similar, but it certainly doesn't have to follow any sort of pattern, or where you see photos that are split into 3 photos across 3 different grid posts,
That's
and they
Oh
only
yeah.
look at one photo when you look at it, but then the next time you post a post, it throws it all out of sync anyway. So I mean, it's a bit like going back to the 90s. Like, it's not the 90s, but it's
yeah, I know what
very
you
out
mean.
of date now. I
Yeah.
think people are more interested in what's happening at the moment, like what are you doing, like what's going on behind the scenes, like show up, use your Instagram stories. I mean, I'm predominantly Instagram as opposed to Facebook, because I feel like that's more where my ideal client hangs out. But you know, just show up as your real self. Don't try and pretend you're somebody that you're not, because people see behind that, you know.
Yeah.
And just the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Same with writing. Like, people are like, oh, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to put in my caption. Just start it and
Yeah.
have a go. Like, it's not, it's, and I think procrastination, and we talk ourselves out of doing things when actually, if we just got on and did it, it wouldn't be that difficult. And even now, there's so many tools to help you with stuff like
Yeah.
that. AI tools,
Oh
like
my
chat
God, yeah.
and Canva's got AI writing tools. They're on about
Yes.
Microsoft Word having AI writing tools. Like, get a
Google's
robot to
got
write
it.
your
Yeah.
caption for you, but then
Yeah.
just edit it. You know, if you're really that stuck on what to write. But I think images are more important, really, like grabbing attention with
Because does
images.
anyone really read the captions? I mean, I know they say you should have a really good caption, but I find personally, I mean, I know I'm not, you know, everyone don't do what I do, but if I see a caption that's too long, I don't read it. I can't read reams and reams and reams unless they've
Yeah.
really captured my imagination with like their image or their first line. I'm not reading right to the very end, quite frankly.
It's a bit of a woolly situation, that, really, because I think it depends very much on what you write, your writing style, and how easy it is to read, and whether it grabs people's attention. Like you said, like, some of my captions are long. Like, I've just posted one up today about the progress of this chat with Bridebook this morning, and that was quite long, but I had to explain what had happened. But it's
Yeah,
had a really good response, and I suspect people have read the caption. And I think, you know, like, I might have certain people that I know I always read their captions because I
yeah,
like reading what they've got to say.
yeah,
It's a bit
Um,
like blogs. I don't really read blogs, but I
yeah,
think I do read the Instagram notes. I
right,
quite often flip down
yeah,
and
yeah,
read the rest
read the
of them,
caption.
and then I'll trawl through their links and things as well. So it just leads me
You're a
yeah.
stalker.
on a journey. Yeah, a nice one.
Yeah. I think it just depends if it grabs your attention, but
Yeah,
like,
Yeah,
that's kind of, you've got to get into writing, because you kind of, once you get used to doing it and you write more and more, you do grab people's attention, and you'll
yeah,
get your own
yeah,
writing style. Like, I think I've got quite my own writing style, and
yeah,
I actually really
definitely.
I love writing. Like, I like writing my weekly newsletter. I like writing captions and blogs. So I think the more you do it, like, I would never
Yeah,
use a robot to write my blogs, because I'm quite happy to write
yeah.
them
yeah,
myself. Like, I know what I want to say.
I quite
So
like it. I've literally only started using it in the last month, but I like the fact that my mind will go blank. I'll type in the words, the main words, and it'll bring up something for me, and then I can tweak it
yeah,
to.
yeah,
So
exactly. That's
it's
how
like
you should
setting
use
off the
it.
yeah.
starting pose. You've got your
Yeah.
own style, Bronya. I love your
Yeah, I mean, I've
style as
I've been
well.
writing for a long. I mean, I used to write a magazine years and years ago, so I
Mm.
kind of started developing my style 30 odd years ago. Um, but yeah, so I do a lot of blog writing. I do a lot of blog recipe writing, and
Yeah.
although we all love to think that you can just write a recipe and put that out, Google won't find it. They like a few hundred words and all the rest of it, so you have to write something. But yeah, so I've got quite I've been doing it a long time though, so I'm not scared of it, and I've been doing it a very long time.
Yeah,
My
I think that's it
writing.
though. You just got to get started with it, because
Yeah,
the longer you put it off, the harder it gets. You talk
Yeah.
yourself out of it.
yeah,
Just do it. What's the
yeah.
worst that can happen? Nobody
Exactly.
reads it. Like, you know.
Yeah, no one's
Well, at least
dying
you
from
tried.
it.
And then next time they might read it more. And really, like with blogs, almost blogs are more for Google than they are for a reader,
Yeah,
because it's more content for your website. It's more keywords you can
yeah,
stuff it with. It's more SEO, like for your website. So yes, it's important what you write, and it's got to be engaging, but you're also benefiting your, rankings in
yeah,
Google by putting regular content out there, like
yeah,
blogs. Like I'm starting completely from scratch with my Cake Business Club website. It's got a domain authority of 0, which is obviously right at the bottom of the pile. It doesn't even show up if I type in the Cake Business Club into
Oh
Google
no,
currently, but it's
it will.
obviously it's a work, because it takes time to
Yeah,
build it up. But like, my Little Button Bakery page, that's got like a domain authority of 26. It's number 1 in Google for most searches, like locally. So that's because that's got, it takes time. I think
yeah,
people expect things to happen super quick, and it
Yeah, that's
doesn't.
the
yeah.
problem. So many people
Websites
expect,
take a long
yeah,
time. Blogs. I mean, I've been blogging for
you
many
just got to
many
be
years,
patient.
and Google changes the goalpost every so often, so you do have to keep on touch of the
Mm.
goalpost
Yeah,
changing and everything. But as long as you're putting out, there's something at the moment. I think it's EEAT, and it's expertise, experience, and stuff. But it's all about being an expert in it, and that's what Google is looking for at the moment. Is that you
yeah,
are an expert and that you're not AI, that you are a real human
yeah.
that's talking
It's
about it.
going to crack down on AI content for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
And I think people say this word expert, but really, an expert, I can't remember who says it now, but it could be Lisa Johnson actually. She says, you're an expert if you know more than the
yeah,
average room of people.
yeah.
Like, you don't have to be the top dog of everything. You just, if you think you're in a room, do I know more than most
Yeah,
people here about cakes? Yeah, probably do. So you're the
you're the
expert,
expert.
like,
Yeah,
and just
absolutely. Right.
put
So
it out there.
when you what piece of advice? Do you know? I'm reading my question and talking about my writing style. It doesn't make any sense at all. Uh, what piece of advice would you have given yourself when you first started out making cakes?
Oh God, so many things. I think say no when you know it's not. You don't get good vibes.
Yeah,
Like, if you don't say yes to everything,
Yeah.
because it's not going to light your fire, and you're going to find yourself thinking, why the hell did I take this on? I have got no idea how to do this. Or be like, oh God, why have I agreed to work this bank holiday Monday when I
yeah,
really don't want to do that? Or I've got to now work this weekend and I wanted to go away with my family and now I can't because I've said yes. Because I think it's a fear in the beginning of
yeah,
you have to say yes to everything because you're trying to build your business up. But actually, it's not true. And I think the sooner you can get into your swing and your vibe and your niche, and like decide what direction you actually want to take and what you really want to do, the better and quicker your business will grow.
yeah,
Because I think saying yes to everything and be doing every single style of cake and every type of cake, you're competing with every single cake maker in the whole of the country. Whereas if you develop your own style and niche down, your competition gets a lot smaller. So that's
yeah,
when you start getting the orders, because people are like, oh, look at this person, they're a bit
Mm.
different. They look more like the kind of thing I want. They do like interesting things rather than just the standard, the same as everybody else. I think it's a hard thing, that though, for Kate. It's hard to decide what you want to do, particularly in the beginning.
yeah,
But I think,
yeah,
and the way everyone starts out is generally we start off doing it as a hobby and like just fiddling around, aren't we? And we're
Mm.
just doing bits of everything. But I think if maybe we just took that little bit of time to sit down and really think about what we actually wanted to do, because I bet there's not many other businesses out there that had literally just start a business without thinking about it.
no, no.
Like,
It's, it's,
they'd
ge- it's
plan
generally
out,
like crafty businesses that
yeah,
start like that. And cake making, I think, is probably one of the biggest ones. That, yeah,
yeah.
we make it for a
But I
couple of
think
mates, and next minute, yeah, it's a business. How does that happen?
You just gotta I think do a plan in the beginning and actually really think about the direction you want to go and what you want to do. Because it saves so much time in the long run. Because I think you waste time doing things that actually you don't want to do, and you could have been doing the things you really wanted to do and earning more money. So yeah, say no. Say no is probably the thing I will tell myself. Don't say yes to those things you really don't want to do, and
Good
the bride
advice.
killers don't say yes to those either.
Know your client.
Yeah.
Know which
Oh
clients you don't
God.
want to be
Yeah.
working with.
The
That's
red flag
that's really
starts
good
waving.
advice. I like. Yeah, I like your advice. Lastly, so our listeners can find you, what are your socials and website, and do you have anything coming up? Oh, and I've got one more question. Where are you based?
So I'm in Marple, which is in Stockport, Greater Manchester, so in the northwest.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty close to Manchester, really, about half an
Mm-hmm.
hour away.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so you can find me. Instagram is probably a good place to find me. So I'm at Little Button Bakery or at the Cake Business Club on Instagram. I'd love you, if you are a cake maker, which I'm sure you are, if you're listening to the podcast, that you come over to my free Facebook group, which is a bigger slice _ the Cake Collective. You can join that and use it as you wish. It's a really nice community,
It is a nice.
and
It is a love. It feels like a safe place to actually talk in.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it does. And I like the fact it is purely about the business
Yeah.
stuff, because I think things get lost in these other cake making groups because
Yeah.
it's a mixture of both, and kind of I feel like people know what they can ask in my group now,
Yeah.
and it's a supportive, safe space, like you say. Um, the doors to the Cake Business Club, which is my monthly membership, they're open quarterly. So the next time they'll be open is going to be the end of June, and I'll probably do a challenge kind of launch for that, because I feel like they're quite good to get the vibe going and everyone interested in what I'm doing. So yeah, you can't currently join, but you can put your name on the waiting list on the
Excellent.
Cake Business Club website, and which is just www.thecakebusinessclub.co.uk. And I'll let you know when the doors are opening.
Do you post? Do you post about that on your Instagram
Yeah,
page as
yeah, I
well?
will. I'll be banging on about it in all different, on Instagram, on my mailing list, on
Yeah.
Facebook, in the group. Yeah, don't worry, you won't be able to escape the fact that it's opening.
And
Um,
if I wanted to join your mailing list, what should I do?
To join my mailing list, if you go to A Bigger Slice of the Cake Collective, and when you sign up to join that, you can pop your email address in,
Right.
and I'll add you onto the list. And then I send you a freebie guide when you first sign up, which is 10 ways to level up your cake business, like a PDF guide. And then you get an email from me once a week then. But obviously you can unsubscribe at any time, but hope you won't. But yeah, I've got loads of
I'm
more.
on your mailing list. I love a newsletter. It's one of my
Uh,
favourite things. Newsletters coming in,
Yeah.
yeah,
useful
it seems
newsletters.
to
Yeah.
be pretty popular, to be honest. I
Yeah,
generally get an open rate of about 50%, which I think is pretty
that's
high for a
pretty good.
mailing list.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, people obviously like me hearing, probably just want to know what things I've been up to that week and what's gone wrong. Like my floor, having to be ripped up in my studio the other week.
Oh
Um,
no.
so yeah, I've also got loads of other things to help cake makers. So if you go to the Cake Business Club website, there's a page called the Pantry. I've got lots of tools available at a really low cost. So I've got editable terms and conditions that you can buy. I've got a pricing spreadsheet, which took me a whole week to build. It's like the most badass spreadsheet you'll ever see, and it'll price up every cake in every size, loads of other things as well. It's really good. And there's a forecasting tool, so have a look in there. There's loads of
Yeah.
good things. I try and ask people what they want, and then I make it for them.
Yeah.
So
Well, it
because
sounds like you've really got some good stuff on there,
Yeah.
because I'm listening to that and I'm thinking, oh, that sounds interesting. I'm going to go and have a
yeah,
look.
they're all low cost, nothing's more than
Yeah.
£15. So for the sake of the hours and hours it'll take, as I said, the spreadsheet took me about a week to build it.
Yeah.
It started off small, and then it gradually grew and
Yeah.
grew and
Yeah.
grew
I can
to something
imagine. Yeah.
massive.
I'm
So and
surprised it only took you a week.
I know, I'm quite, once I get into something though, I just hyper focused till I've got it
Yeah.
done. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm always like thinking of new things. I'll probably do some course. Like I do little standalone courses and things. I've got a Reels course. I'm going to do a hashtag course soon.
Excellent.
So yeah, I'm always got my finger in lots of pies. But I'm enjoying like helping people in their businesses. I feel like
Mm.
I love making cakes, and like wedding cakes are fantastic to work with couples on that. But I feel like I found my thing with the
Yeah.
cake
Yeah.
cooking.
Yeah. Well, you can
I
see when you're
enjoy it.
talking how passionate you are about it, and you really like know your stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Like, yeah, as I said, I am always learning. So I feel like I'm always like absorbing things in my brain, learning new
Mm.
things. So, and I kind of retain information quite well. I'm quite technical, quite techie. So anything like IT related, I usually am pretty good
Yeah.
with. Whereas that's what a lot of other people tend to struggle with. So I can help with that. But yeah, I definitely enjoy it. And I love hearing like success stories of people who have gained in confidence or booked higher value orders, or they're getting more clients coming in, and like successful wedding fairs and things like that, just because they're in the club and they're feeling more confident about themselves and the
Excellent.
businesses.
Mm.
It's a privilege really to be able to help people in that way and to have
Yeah.
the impact that it is having. So I feel like it was one of the best things I've done setting it
Mm.
up.
Amazing.
And yeah, hopefully it'll go
I
from
love your website as well.
oh, no.
I'm giving
She's
you all
proper
the
stalked you.
yeah.
The Cake Business Club or the Little Button Bakery website.
Little Button Bakery.
Yeah.
I just loved it, the way it's set out, the
Oh,
colours and the photography, and
oh,
yeah,
thank
it was
you.
really
Well,
nice.
I built all that myself and the Cake Business Club one. As I said, I'm
Yeah.
quite technical, so I also don't like other people doing things. I like to have control.
Did
And
you
bit,
do all your own photography as well?
not all of it, no. Some of it, I had a branding shoot done for a lot of the
Uh-huh.
website stuff,
Uh-huh.
which is one of the best things I think I've done for my business. Like, it's great to have all those images and like a
Yeah.
little video I
Yeah,
did as well.
they look just so amazing. It
Yeah.
really some websites I look at and I you know, you just walk on by, but this one I was all over it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think you've got to have your website's got to represent your
Yeah.
business. It's got to
Yeah.
be the same tone of voice, the same imagery. If you're aiming for like higher end, it's got to look higher end. And I think a lot of people struggle with getting that right because as I know I said, I'm a judge for the Wedding Industry Awards now. And obviously, as part of that, I had to review loads of businesses. And like,
Mm.
I looked at websites, I looked at social media, and so many websites really were difficult to navigate.
Yeah.
The images were terrible, like, or they were so blurry, or like they didn't load properly, and I struggled to find the information I needed. Well, I'm not even a client. Like, if I struggle to find it, it's just they're gonna just scroll on, they're gonna click
Yeah.
on it and then just go to somewhere else. So I
Mm.
think it is really important to get that right,
Yeah.
Mm.
and make sure that you are, all of your like avenues for digital marketing are singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Wow.
could chat all afternoon.
Yeah,
Kate.
we could.
We really could.
That
We
was the
could go
most
on forever, but
important.
I know you've got a deadline. So.
Oh,
But thank you so much for coming and chatting today. And maybe we should get you on again because, like I say, there are so many things we could be talking about that.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. I've
Maybe
got
when
loads.
your club is opening again, you should come on and have a chat about that.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
see
that'd
that.
be great. I'd love to come back on. It's been really
Yeah,
nice to talk to you both. I told you I was a talker, so it's been gone
you
really
didn't let
fast.
us down.
No, I don't know if you two spoke actually. I think it's just me.
Well, thank you so much. And good luck with everything. And we will hopefully chat to you again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow.
Well,
I liked her.
oh, and she did
She
say to
was
me, she said, "I can talk." She didn't disappoint, did she?
no, but in a good
Yeah.
way.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I like it. There weren't any like, oh my God, what can we say next? sort of
In fact,
thing.
we actually missed out one of our questions because we were doing so well.
Yeah,
I just thought, God, we this could be a 4-hour episode because,
yeah.
but I could chat.
And we kept asking her other questions though that we hadn't planned. But
I could
she
talk
was a
to
good
ages,
guest.
and she's got so many good things to say as well. I think that's
Yeah,
the important thing is that
yeah, and she's so passionate
yeah,
about what she's saying, and she knows her
yeah,
stuff, which
yeah.
you know, you, if you're going to be in have the cake business club, you're going to need to
Yeah, you
know.
can literally. But I mean, because I'm on her free Facebook page, and the questions that get asked are all business questions. You never get
Mm,
anyone saying anything like, "What sugar paste should I be using?" It's
mm,
genuinely, it's all about business, which is just really
yeah,
nice, really nice.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
but hopefully we'll have
And
her
I
on again.
liked her haircut. I liked her haircut as well. Oh, that was a good haircut. And her
Yeah,
glasses. Oh gosh.
good style.
I'm like
Anything else?
stalker Sammy. Right.
Right, go on then.
Okay. Drum roll.
Oh, better not do that.
So it's time for product of the week, product of the week, product of the week.
Excellent.
Ta-dam.
I don't know whose turn it is. We are so out of sync. I have no idea. Shall I go first?
Yeah. I'll let you go first.
Right. So you know how I love a cookbook.
Yes.
I love a cookbook. I have got the new Claire Patak. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Ooh.
Patak. Claire Patak. Love is a pink cake. So
Oh.
Claire is the owner and founder of Violet Bakery in the East End of London. Violet Bakery of Harry and Meghan wedding cake fame.
Oh, right.
Okay,
Yes.
so she made their wedding cake.
Lemon and elderflower.
That's the one. On all those beautiful stands, and it was all like not disjointed. That's not the word I wanted to say.
I don't know. Displayed.
Yeah. Anyway,
Discombobulated.
deconstructed, discombobulated. Yeah, I like that. So she is actually, I think she's from San Francisco. She's from California. So
I didn't know that.
and she lives in the East End of London. And this book has got bakes for morning, afternoon, and evening. And she's got a section from from California, and then a whole section of English. Which is really lovely, and they all have like a little thing like, the reason I'm making this is because my nan used to make it, or my grandma used to make it, or the reason I'm making this is because this is one of the first bakes that I had when I came to England, and really, really nice bakes. And she also is very into seasonality, so seasonal fruit and things like that. And it's got,
which is good for the environment because you're not shipping it in.
but it's got beautiful pictures, lovely photos.
Oh, that looks really
It is.
nice.
It's a really, really nice book, and it's a really easy book to follow. And so this one, look, Jostberry and Loganberry matcha cake.
Ooh.
And it's,
I don't know what a Jostberry is.
I don't know what a Jostberry is. So I've only ever seen Josterberries on Jane Scotter's Fern Vero farm. I did consider whether I should include these berries. So there you go. So she does know that it's difficult. But they're all recipes that she has experienced and she's made herself. And it's just really lovely. And I bought it from Amazon. Yeah, that's mine.
Love
Love
it.
is a pink cake.
I love that. And I love that title.
Yeah, good title.
Good name.
Right.
Okay. So you ready for mine?
I've seen it and I don't know what it is. Go on.
Okay. I've just got to pull up the page so I can read it to you. So I have a 6.5-inch multi-purpose rose petal tool. So it's basically it's a rolling pin, but it's got a lovely rounded curved edge.
Is
for
that
softening.
what it is?
Yeah, for softening and cupping petals. It works like a ball modelling tool.
Oh.
So you can use it as a frilling stick. It's a mini rolling pin, so you can roll out your sugar paste. or your flour paste, etc. And it's special polished surface for non-stick performance,
Oh,
which I really like.
nice.
Yeah. And I treated myself the other day, and they do other sizes as well. So there's smaller ones, or you can buy a kit with about
Oh,
4 different
okay.
sizes in it as well. I think this one was about £5.
So it's like one of the small non-stick rolling.
Rolling
It looks
pins.
thinner than like a normal rolling pin.
Yeah, but it's bigger slightly at one end, it feels
Oh,
like,
okay.
and it's molded. Is it cell sticks? I can never remember their names.
Yeah, I think
That
yeah.
you can get thinner ones
Right. Okay.
of them.
Okay. Yeah, but that's quite nice because you can put that in your emergency kit and it's got like many uses.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, because you can use that as a rolling pin
Yeah.
and a friller, and I've been using it for all sorts this week. It's like my new tool.
So where did you get it from?
I got it from Cake Stuff.
Okay.
But you can get it from other companies
Right.
as well.
And what
I
was
have
the actual name of it again?
It's called a Pullinger's, so that must be the company. A Pullinger's 6.5-inch multi-purpose rose petal tool rolling pin.
God.
Recommended retail price £5.99.
Excellent. Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
I love it.
Excellent.
Love it.
You were waving around at me yesterday. I'm like, I have no idea what she's got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Right, hold on, I have a listener comment. You know, we were doing listener
Oh,
comments.
yes.
I've got one. I've just got to find it now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Hold on. Hold your horses. I bet I can't find it now. I'll have to go back.
Holding my horses.
Is that what that was? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here we are. So this is from Shelley at Devon Made Cakes. Hello, I hope you are both well and are enjoying your break, because she sent this in our 2-week break. I just wanted to say how much I enjoy your podcast and all your advice. I started my home baking business just over a year ago, and your podcast has been invaluable. You both pick me up when I'm feeling down and self-doubt. You keep me grounded and you let me know I'm not the only one going through this. Thank you for reading out my questions when we did the Q&A. I did a little dance in my kitchen when I heard it.
Oh.
Keep up the amazing work. You are helping more than you know. Kind regards, Shelley. Thank you,
that's
Shelley.
so lovely. That's brought a little tear to my eye.
So that was on
the camera.
That was on Instagram. So thank you so much, Shelley. And good luck in everything you do. You know, you've only been going a year, but hey, you know,
you got it, girl.
You so have. Devon Made Cakes. If anyone wants to go and check her out, Devon Made Cakes. And if you ever want to leave a message for us, you can do on Instagram, on iTunes, in our DMs, wherever, and we will.
And
go on
Audible.
Yeah, but I never know how do I find comments on Audible.
Oh, I don't know how you find comments on Audible. Okay. I was just amazed that we were on Audible. I was like, oh wow.
But yeah, so please, if you ever want to leave a message for us to read out, then please do. That would be lovely.
Yes.
And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Audible, Podbean, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Google.
Yeah.
You can ask your Google or your Alexa to play it.
Yeah.
Please rate and review us because it really does help other people finding us.
Yeah.
And just recommend us to all your mates. That'd be lovely. Thank you very much.
Love you all. Yeah. Thank you.
Right, okay. Next time.
Bye.